Welcome children. My name is Mrs. Nirmala Tarpade. Today I am going to take a history lesson with you, and this is of EVS 2. In 5th you have EVS 1 and EVS 2. So EVS 2 includes history lessons. Now there are some, history is a science that tells us about events in the past. So the first point is history a science Now what does this mean? History is a science that tells us about the events in the past. Now last year in standard 4 you learnt about Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj, and he was born around 400 years ago. So that is the past. Now we divide time for our convenience into past, present and future. Past, present and future. Now the words which include some time ago, yesterday, and last year. These are words used for in past tense, what happened in the past. Then we have now, today and this year. This shows, these words denote the present. Then future is after some time. Tomorrow. Next year. These words denote the future. Now you can see here, the time that has already gone by is the past. The time that we are in now is the present, and the time that is yet to come is the future. Now here you can see, today you are 10 years old, but 10 years before you were born, and after 10 years you will be 20 years old. So the time between the date you were born and today is called your past. So that is the past of the life of a person. A science that tries to understand past events is called history. Now the second point is, this was the first point. The scientific method of history. Now in standard 3 and 4 you have learned environmental science. There you perform some tests and experiments. The method of using a number of different tests to determine whether the evidence is reliable is called scientific method. Now when you were small, your grandparents must have seen how you behaved, your parents also, they tell you the stories what happened when you were young. Or suppose you had your first birthday, you don't remember your first birthday, but your parents, grandparents, other relatives describe your first birthday, but still you are not satisfied, you want to know what happened that day. So nowadays there are different sources, you have the videos, you have the photographs, so they will show you the videos or photographs, then you are happy, yes, this had happened on that day, but that was your past. Now in history we cannot perform experiments and tests, so there are different sources of history. Now let us see which are the sources of history. There is the material source, then the written source, and the oral source. Now in material you can see here, here they have shown pots, a copper plate, then some coins, then books and manuscripts. All these are sources of history. So you can make out from which era they belong to and who had written all these. A historian is a person who studies all this and he looks for different sources. So these are the, I will tell you which are the sources. Like coins, forts. You all are aware that in and around Pune there are many forts, and in last year's Shivaji's lesson also you learnt about the different forts. So they also tell us about history. Then pots, old structures, pillars, rock cut caves like the Ajanta and Ellora caves. Then in written we have letters, copper plates, stone inscriptions, biographies, in oral you have traditional songs, folk songs and folk tales. So these are the different sources of history. In material source we have coins, forts, pots, old structures, pillars, rock cut caves. In written we have letters, copper plates, stone inscriptions, biographies, oral, traditional songs, folk tales. Traditional songs and folk songs, Maharashtra is famous for that. Right from generations this is coming down. Like today the singers are singing these songs, their fathers and grandfathers, they also sang those traditional songs and folk songs. So Maharashtra is rich with that. Now the third point is history and us. Now, how we are influenced by the society, by the people of olden days, ancient times. Like earlier there were no towns and cities, only villages were there. And first the villages came, the people settled along the rivers, they grew crops, and then many more people came there and villages were formed. Now people who worked together in a village, that village developed, it progressed. But where people did not work together, that village had many difficulties. So from that we learn what is favorable for us and what is not favorable for us. By telling us the life stories of great people, history also serves to inspire and to motivate us. Like last year you learned about Shivaji Maharaj. So from his stories, his way of life, his valor, everyone gets motivated and inspired. Even from Mahatma Gandhi ji. He was one of the leaders during the freedom struggle. So he also inspired us and motivated us. So we learn many things from them. We learn about the progress of human civilization. When there is give and take between two civilizations, we learn about the give and take of the civilization. And we also understand how people's way of life went on changing. Now every village, city, town, country, state, everything has a history. Now suppose we live in Pune city. Pune is a historical place. You must be knowing, you must have visited the Shaniwar Wada where the Peshwa stayed. Then the Lal Mahal where it was Shivaji's residence. Then we have the Sinhgarh Fort where Tanaji laid down his life. All this you learned last year, and they inspired everyone, and they inspired some people to make movies also. There are movies made on Shivaji Maharaj, on the Peshwas, on Tanaji. So these people inspired us. So every science too has a history. It tells us of many scientific discoveries that brought about important changes in the human civilization, and of the scientists who made those discoveries. So in this way we come to know what is favorable and what is not favorable for us. Now the fourth point is the past and the future. The past, present and the future are linked by a continuous chain of events. For example, the Indian people fought against the British for our independence, and then on 15th August 1947, India became independent. So this freedom struggle is the historical event, and getting independence is the consequence. So as a result, India became an independent nation on 15th August 1947. So we can say independence was a consequence of an action, that is the Indian people's struggle for independence. So in this way the events of today are linked with the past actions. Now you can see in this picture what all inventions and technology, this is the inventions and technology of the past. The early man made tools from whatever natural resources he could get. Then he made fire. He also invented the wheel, which was later on developed, and now this day we have a lot of modern tools and we have a lot of vehicles which run on wheels. Then due to discoveries, see, the next generation added to these developments. Technology developed further hand in hand with the physical and intellectual development of man. So today we have, you can see the children on the laptop. Then earlier the fire was made, but now solar cooker is used. Gas is used for cooking food. The telephone, I'll tell you about one invention. Alexander Graham Bell in 1876 he invented the telephone, and after a few years this invention was developed, and then we had the cellular phone, the cellular mobile phone, and today we have the smartphone, which is widely used all over the world, and it is the latest, the most modern means of communication. So this way we have studied the 4 points. History is a science that tells us about events in the past, and the next point is the scientific method of history. History and us, and the past and the future. I'll read out some question answers for you. I'll tell you the benefits of history. The benefits of history. The study of history enables us to learn things that are favorable and those which are unfavorable for the progress of human society. It provides us guidelines about how we should behave today to shape a good future. The life stories of great people told by history inspire us and motivate us. We learn about the exchanges that took place between a civilization and other civilizations. We learn about the progress of human civilization and how the ways of life of people underwent change. So these are the benefits of history. I shall give you a few fill in the blanks. The science that tries to understand past events is called history. History is not written solely on the basis of imagination. As I told you earlier, history needs sources, different sources, to come to see whether the facts are correct, the evidence is correct. You can't write history solely on the basis of imagination. Now we have the concept chart. It is like a flow chart. Now you have the history of the nation. Every nation has a history. Then the world, human civilization, your own history, then of a school. Every school also has a history, when it was founded, who founded it, how many years back, how many children were there initially, and then how it grew. Then of a state, there is history of a district and of a village. So you have the history of the nation, of a village, the world, human civilization, your own history, of a school, of a state, and of a district. Now I will read something about archaeology. What is archaeology? In many places we see remains of objects and structures created in ancient times by human societies of those times. All of those remains are not always found above the ground. Some get buried under layers of soil that floods or strong winds deposit over them in the course of many years. The remains of human and animal skeletons also get buried in the same way. The science that studies past cultures with the help of ancient remains is called archaeology. The Latin word archaeos means ancient. Archaeologists locate, dig out, and study ancient remains. The method of digging the ground in order to bring to light any ancient remains that lie buried there is called archaeological excavation. Such excavations are done very carefully, and each layer of soil that is dug up is examined scientifically. The first step is to identify and make a careful record of places where such ancient remains may be found. The next step is to plan where to dig and how to go about the digging. While studying the ancient remains, archaeologists try to find answers to many questions like the following. To which period do the remains belong? To which civilization do the remains belong? What was the daily life of people of that civilization like? What kind of relations did those people have with people of other civilizations? In what ways did they make use of the natural resources in their surroundings in order to meet their own needs? So children, you can collect information and pictures of the historical structures and ancient religious places in your village, city, neighboring area. You can see on your smartphone, on the Google, and find some pictures of historical structures, monuments, and you can also visit some religious places.